Let's argue. Today's lecture offers a more in-depth look at developing a strong, argumentative thesis statement. We will also begin to review in-text or parenthetical citations that will be useful for citing your sources in your argument essay. As we discussed in last week's lecture, incorporating a strong thesis statement into your argument is one of the most important argumentative strategies you can master. There are a few ways that you can brainstorm thesis statements, particularly for an argumentative essay. You could try a purpose statement. A purpose statement can help you to brainstorm your argument because it asks you to articulate your focus very clearly. It is then easy to turn this purpose statement into an argumentative thesis statement. So let's consider the following example. Say we have an assignment that asks us to make an argument for or against decriminalizing marijuana in the state of Ohio. In response to that assignment, we could develop a purpose statement that says, this paper briefly discusses the history of marijuana within the United States of America and analyzes the positive implications of decriminalizing marijuana in the state of Ohio. Although this clearly tells our reader what we want to focus on in our paper, we're not making a strong argument, and we need to work on our word choice and sentence structures so that we have a strongly argumentative thesis statement. So we could transform that purpose statement into the following. As there are many positive implications that come along with reducing the legal penalties associated with marijuana, it is imperative that the state of Ohio decriminalize marijuana possession. In this case, we are more clearly articulating our argument, and we have the option of including supporting points or details in our thesis itself. Once we have articulated our purpose in our purpose statement, all we needed to do is change our word choice and sentence structure to make our thesis argumentative. Remember, it still needs to pass the so what test. Another way that we can brainstorm thesis statements for argumentative essays is by going from question to assertion. So for example, let's consider that we have the same assignment. Make an argument for or against decriminalizing marijuana in the state of Ohio. I can then easily brainstorm some questions associated with the point that I want to make in my essay, and use those to guide me toward my thesis statement. So here, we've come up with some questions like, what are the negative implications of decriminalizing marijuana in the state of Ohio? And do the negative implications outweigh the positive implications? In this case, I would want to go through my research, any supporting information, anything that I've been provided in class to determine the answer to those questions, and then I can move from question to assertion. In this case, my assertion is, it is apparent that the negative implications of decriminalizing marijuana outweigh any positive benefits. Therefore, the state of Ohio should not decriminalize marijuana. This thesis works well because our claim is strongly articulated. We do not want to decriminalize marijuana. And our reader knows why. We are going to discuss the negative implications and show how they outweigh any positive benefits. So this gives our reader a full picture of where we would go with this argument. One final way we can brainstorm thesis statements, particularly for an argumentative essay, is by making a list. So let's consider again that we have the same assignment, make an argument for or against decriminalizing marijuana in the state of Ohio. To begin brainstorming my thesis, I'm going to choose which side I'm on, and I'm going to make a list. So let's say I'm making a list of the positive implications of decriminalizing marijuana. I might come up with things like less stress on the justice system, fewer inmates in the prison system, and that police officers can focus on more pressing issues. I can then use this list to guide my thesis statement. So let's take a look. The state of Ohio should decriminalize marijuana because it will place less stress on the justice system, place fewer inmates in our already overcrowded prison system, and allow police officers to better address more pressing issues. So in this case, again, our reader knows exactly what we're arguing. We're arguing that marijuana should be decriminalized, and they can see from our list of points exactly why we believe that and where we're going in our body paragraphs. In order to best persuade your reader and create a well-rounded argument, you will also want to include supporting information from outside sources. When including this information, it is important to cite your sources so that your reader can verify where the information came from. APA style includes formatting guidelines, which are the instructions that we use to set up our cover page and format our paper. It also includes a reference system that involves in-text or parenthetical citations. These parenthetical or in-text references are brief notes that you include within your paragraphs to cite your sources. In APA, we use the author's last name and the year to cite summaries and paraphrases, or anything that you put into your own words. And we use the author's last name, the year, and the page number for direct quotations, or anything that we take word for word. You will also need to include an alphabetical reference list at the end of your paper where you will cite all of the sources used throughout. All in-text parenthetical references must correspond to a source cited in the references list. Let's take a look at direct quotations. Direct quotations include anything taken word for word from a source. Direct quotations must be placed in quotation marks. When citing a direct quotation, include the author's last name, the year, and the page number where the information appeared. You have two options for how to do this. You can reference the author's last name in the sentence itself, or you can include it in your parenthetical citation. The year will always stay with the author's last name, while the page number will always be in parentheses. Let's take a look at a few examples. So first, we see the author's last name in the sentence itself. According to Jones, 2004, quote, students often had difficulty using APA style, especially when it was their first time, end quote. We see our page number, page 199, appears in parentheses at the end of our sentence. Our author's name, Jones, and our year, 2004, appear in the sentence itself, so they do not need to be included in this parentheses at the end. Alternatively, we could include the author's last name in the parenthetical citation and not in the sentence. For example, one author noted that, quote, students often had difficulty using APA style, especially when it was their first time. Since we have not mentioned the author's last name or the year in our sentence, all of the items will be included in our parentheses. So we see Jones, 2004, page 199. In both cases, the citations correspond to a longer reference in our references page. Jones, L, period, 2004 in parentheses. We see the title of our book, How to Research, in italics, our place of publication, London, and our publisher, Open University Press. Summaries and paraphrases occur when you put something into your own words. A summary involves condensing the information down to one main point, where a paraphrase acts as almost a direct translation. When you paraphrase something, you take the full sentence and put it into your own words. In either case, when citing, you would include the author's last name and the year. Again, you have two options for how to do this. You can reference the author's last name and the year in the sentence itself, or you can include it in your parenthetical citation at the end. Let's take a look at a few examples. Our first example again shows the author's last name and the year in the sentence itself. Jones, 2004, noted that students have trouble with APA. Because we put the information into our own words, we do not need a page number referencing where it came from. Alternatively, we could include the author's last name and the year in the parenthetical citation and not in the sentence. For example, some have found that students have trouble with APA. And then in parentheses at the end, we see Jones, 2004. In both cases, the citations again correspond to a longer reference in our references page, which would be Jones, L, period, 2004 in parentheses, our title, How to Research, in italics, our place of publication, London, and our publisher, Open University Press.